following grid contains a robot represented as a triangle. So this triangle right here is actually a robot. Here, let me do pointer. So this right here is the robot. And if you notice, it's very, very similar to Lightbot, only with Lightbot, it's like three-dimensional in a way because you can jump. There is no jumping on this, so it's actually easier than what you were working on. And you are going to quickly see why I wanted you to do every single level of Lightbot, because you are going to need to use loops, which the only way you could have gotten loops is if you did all of the Lightbot problem. All of the Lightbot levels, I should say. Okay, the Lightbot is initially facing to the right, just like it is right here. Okay, and then it says, which of the following code segments can be used to move the robot to the gray square? So it's kind of like Lightbot lighting up the box. That can move the robot to the gray square along the path indicated by the arrows. Okay, so following this route, A, B, C, or D, which one of them will move this thing? Now, the N right here, where it says N arrow 1, if you notice it's in all of them, that just means that N is going to be equal to 1. So the 1 is going to be stored into N here. Okay, so next time you see an N, it's going to be equal to 1. This part right here where it says N and it's being stored from N plus 1, the 1 right here goes to this N, so it's N is 1 plus 1, and then it gets stored into N, so now N became 2. Okay, and if you notice, that's in every single one of these. The rest of it is all stuff that you have seen on in Lightbot. Okay, the move forward, rotate left, rotate right, move forward, that sort of thing. All that stuff should have been based on Lightbot. The only new thing on this is that N value. That just know that it's 1 in the beginning, and then it changes here by 1 because you do 1 plus 1 to be N. And then it says repeat N times. That's just whatever N value it is. If it's repeating 2 times, 3 times, whatever. Okay, so what I want you to do is take about 5 minutes to try to solve this. I'm going to go back to my whiteboard here. I'm going to show you how I did it. Now, by all means, you can do this however you want. It doesn't really matter. So I tried to keep track of my N values each time. So for A, I actually did all of these. So the first one, it says N is 1. So I wrote right here, N is 1. Okay, and then it says repeat 3 times, and that repeat 3 times, you have to understand that it's going to literally repeat everything that's in that bubble 3 times. It's not going to repeat the first line in there 3 times. It's going to repeat all those lines of code going from top to bottom, and then it's going to go from the top again, repeat all those from top to bottom, and then repeat them again. So it's going to repeat that 3 times. So N is equal to 1. So on my paper, I wrote N is equal to 1 for A. Okay, then it says repeat 3 times. And then right there, it says N is now going to be whatever N was, which is 1 plus 1. So now I wrote N is 2. So that's what I wrote right here, N is 2. And then it says repeat 2 times. Now it says move forward, the first thing. Okay, so it's going to move forward, and then it's going to rotate left, which it did. So it moved forward here, and then it's pointed upward here. And then it's going to move forward because it's pointed here, and then it's going to rotate right. So now it's facing this way right here. Okay, so it's on this thing, and that's just repeating it 1 time through. Okay, now we need to repeat that again. So then because it says we have to repeat N times, and N is 2. If you remember, I wrote 2 right here. So we have to repeat this again. Now it says move forward, okay, and then rotate left. So now I'm facing up basically. So I'm facing this way right here, up. And then it says move forward. So if I move forward, I would be here. So right away, I saw that it was not A, okay? Because it would get me to this cell right here, and we want to be following this path right here to this. So it's not A, so I put an X on A. Okay. Then we go to the next one. It says repeat 3 times. N is equal to 1. So I wrote N is equal to 1. So it repeats this 1 time. It's going to move forward, then rotate left, then move forward, and then rotate right. So now it's facing this way to the right. Okay, now N becomes 2. So now I'm going to repeat all those things again. So it says repeat this 3 times. So, but N is 2, so it's going to repeat it the second time around. Now this is 2. So now this is 2. It's going to move forward. So I'm right here. It's going to rotate it this way. So I'm going to move forward, and then it says rotate left. So now I'm rotated left, and then I move forward. Now I'm here. So it's not B either. Right away, you can just kind of see, just following along. This is called code tracing, by the way. I'm just tracing through the code and seeing what happens with the robot. So right away, I can see that this is not the right answer. So I put an X through it and went to the next one. All right, so the next one, C, it says N is equal to 1. So I wrote N is equal to 1. Okay, repeat 3 times. N is now equal to 2 because it added 1 to N and threw it right back in there. So now N is 2. And it says repeat N times. Well, N is 2. So it's going to repeat this 2 times. It's going to move forward. So it's here, and then it moves forward. Now it's here. So it can't be C because it would be here if it was C. So we already know it's not C. So now you go to D here. N is 1. D is the right answer, by the way. N is 1. Repeat 3 times, and then N is still 1 here. So repeat 1 time, move forward. So it's going to move forward once. Then it's going to rotate left. The next thing on it is rotating left. So it's going to rotate left, so it's pointed up. Okay, then repeat one time, because it's n is repeat n times, n is 1, so it moves forward. So it's here, now it moves forward to this one. Then the next thing it says rotate right, rotate right. So now I'm pointed to the right here, but I'm still in this cell, rotated right. And then n now adds 1 to it, so now n is 2. Okay, so n is now 2 because it added 1 to this. It's called an accumulator. Okay, now it has to repeat this 3 times, so it's going to go all the way back up here for the second time around. Second time around, now n is 2, because I'm pointed at 2 right here, n is 2. It's going to move forward twice. What's weird, it did. It moved forward twice. Then it rotated left once, because this rotate left is not in the repeat. So it's just going to do it once. It's going to rotate. So now it's pointed up, or to the left of where it is. But in this case, relative to the whole screen, it's going to be pointed up. And then it repeats 2 times to move forward. So it's going to go 1, 2, cool. Then it rotates right. So now it's facing to the right here. And then n is equal to 3 now because it adds 1 to it. Now we're on the third repeat, okay? Now we're repeating 3 times because n is 3 right here. So now it moves forward 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, then it rotates left and then goes forward 3, 1, 2, 3. And then you're technically there. It rotates to the right that last step. It doesn't really matter. You're on the gray square. But I guess it does show you that you're supposed to be pointed that way. But anyway, that is how you break down one of these problems, literally following a logical step. You have become the computer now. You are analyzing this code and seeing what the output is. Okay, the input is this code, the instructions for it, the output is what happens. Okay, so you're the processor for this. There's a pattern that it follows. It literally goes forward once, turns, goes forward once. Then it turns and goes forward twice, and then turns and goes forward twice. Then it turns and goes forward 3 times, and then turns and goes forward 3 times. So it literally goes 1, and then 2, and then 3. So it moves once, then it moves twice, and then it moves 3 times to get to where it's at. Okay, these types of problems, it's pretty much going to be the exact same thing of what you see here, or it might be in reverse. Maybe it'll have the robots as the A, B, C, and D, like the robot paths, and it gives you code and you have to go backwards. But these are pretty much kind of what you see is what you get. So like what you see here is pretty much what you're going to see later on a quiz or a test for this type of problem. And it's all basically Lightbot, only it's Lightbot in 2 dimensions, so it's a smidge easier.